Can you remember your most remarkable culture shock moment when you, for example, entered a new country that you've never been before?
Oh man, wow, that's a good question. Culture shock moment.
I thought the very first time that we came to Germany, I was astonished at the amount of interaction the audience has with the band or the performer, for lack of a better way of, whether it was a band or just a solo artist or any kind of performer from any style of music. I was astonished by, because we were doing some festivals early on when we first started coming here where there were a lot of different styles of music, a lot of different types of performers, that there was this, the whole audience, you would hear a lot of these chants and, a lot of these songs that the audiences would sing before, after someone would quit playing, and then you would have these thousands of people just, gearing up for the next artist. And then when that artist would come on, over here, and, we speak English and we don't really speak any other language. And to even see it over here, I was blown away by the fact that sometimes even if you're not talking to them, if you're really giving them everything that you are, and they can see that and they can hear it, like if you're being 100% honest with them, they will give back everything. Like they will completely become invested into what you're doing. So that camaraderie, that astonished me.
And and I'm not
in a good way.
Yeah. We're not to take a shot at ourselves, but sometimes we've talked about this coming over here and the fact that all we do is speak English, and we feel a little ignorant being in your country and not being able to communicate with you in your language, and it's actually a little embarrassing.
It is.
We'd rather. I actually bought Rosetta Stone and tried to start learning German. I've learned a bit, but nothing. We were in the middle of making the record, so that kind of.
He was at my house.
My time, yeah.
He was on Rosetta Stone with learning German, like at my house but he gets super busy, and he hadn't been back to it.
Get sidetracked, but and that was the thing for me. I think the first time I ever came to Germany, I was worried because I didn't know how to speak the language, and I was worried about communicating. Then I get here, and it's like, oh, they know how to speak English, but I still feel like it's disrespectful to come here and not.
We try.
Yeah. You want to be respectful. I'm in your country. I want to communicate with you the way that you speak, but it's difficult for us.
How long are you going to be in Germany?
This trip, not long. We have tomorrow at
October. We have.
You just have to start with a little book and write 5 sentences in it, and you keep it over the touring. So you're going to end up with a book with all the different languages.
I can say like der Mann. Hund is dog, right? Yeah. See,
he was talking about this a little while ago.
Sie schwimmen. I can do that too. Yeah.
He's like, I can say sandwich and dog. It's like, it's like, we're gonna walk on deck, and it's like, it's cool. I can say sandwich and dog in German. You speak German, exactly. It's just like that'll work.
Liegt Brot and Hund and good.
Yeah,
good.
It's like,
got
showtime.
Got this. But I do feel like it. Yeah, like I said, I'd like to learn more and be able to communicate more in German, just because, like I said, it's a respect thing for me. I'm in your country. I want to. I don't want to act like I'm just going to speak English.
It's not a problem.
There was one story that we have. We were in Paris for the very first time. We were playing a little club held by about 500 people, and there was a Subway next door to the club, and none of the guys in our crew had eaten that
Subway
day.
Sandwich shop.
Subway sandwich shop.
Yeah.
So we had gone over there earlier in the day, and it was like totally, French speaking, and I was just pointing to what I wanted and everything. So I go back in, but none of our crew had eaten. So I went and I got a list of what everybody wanted. So you're talking about probably like 7, 8 guys, and I wrote it down. And then I asked my tour manager, I was like, "Can somebody from the venue come with me so that they can speak this, so I don't have to?"
Yeah, because the first time he went in, he's pointing to what he wants
and the
trying to
guy's
explain
not,
it.
I'm trying to talk in English, and well, maybe he'll, and he's just not. He just, I don't get it. Blah 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 blah. And then I go back with the list, and I'm doing my banter between, my translator basically from the venue, and the guy's like looking at me. The same guy that I ordered from 20 minutes ago is looking at me going, "What do you want?" and he was so impressed that I had done everything that I had done to make sure that the sandwiches were correct that he was just like, "What do you need, man?" And I would tell you, I was like, "Really?" But that
French, they give you a hard time.
They're
much more proud about their language.
They are, but you know what? I was able to order 7 sandwiches in English just because of that, and then he spoke perfect English. But it was interesting.
Because in the United States, we tend to learn Spanish more than anything because it's the second language there. So if you're going to learn a second language, I actually took French, believe it or not.
So did I.
Instead of Spanish.
I took French.
You could have.
Well, no, not really. I forgot it all.
You could have gone the extra mile.
Too much alcohol. It's gone away.
So,
an Advil.
What is the first thing you guys do when you come home after a long tour?
The first thing that we do when we come home from a tour?
I drive my car. I drive my own car because you don't drive yourself anywhere.
No.
I get in my car, got a Mercedes, I get in my car, and I drive myself to the coffee shop. I go get coffee from this local independent coffee shop that I go to, and I go there and I get coffee, and I sit down with my wife and just enjoy sitting for a minute and not having to be anywhere on time at a certain time. And I pet my dogs.
My time is mainly as much time as I can get with my little boy because I have a 4-year-old son. So as much time as I can get with him. I always try to, I tell everybody in the band and in the crew, like, take the first 48 hours to decompress, because you need that just to get used to what you're doing. We don't really take a lot of time off when we're in touring cycles. As a matter of fact, we're going to be here the whole course of this trip is about 11 days, and then we go back to the U.S. and we have about right at 14 days, about 2 weeks before we start the next tour. So that'll actually be one of the longest breaks that we've had probably for this entire year. We won't have another break like that this year.
Today was the first show. We just had a week off. So today was the first show after a week. So we actually got to spend 8 days at home.
Yeah, we don't really do the 4 months out on the road solid anymore. Because back in the day, we used to tour like up to 6 months at a time before there was ever a real day off. And when I mean, or a break of like a week, like we would go 6 months without any home time at all. We'd take a little bit of a break that could basically be 4 or 5 days, and then go right back and do another 4 months or 6 months again. So now we all have families and what have you, and so we try to, and we are getting older, but I believe, in my personal opinion, we're 10 times stronger as a band now because we're a lot more healthy and we're a lot more we're just connected better now. But we have families, and that you don't want to stay out so long that the shows start to suffer because it becomes what's the word I'm looking for? It becomes not stagnant, but just like it's too routine.
Yeah, and when you're kind of ready to go home, when you're over it. I think we were like that. The end of this last run, I knew it was probably a week before we went home, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to go home. Because you live around each other so much, and you're with the same people every day and in close quarters, and we all get along really well and we love each other. But you get to a point where like the everyday little things that somebody does sort of annoy you maybe a little bit. So like it's time to go. It's time to go home for a second. And then like we went home for 8 days, and I'm back out, and we're glad to be here, and all that's gone, and we're doing it, starting another cycle all over again. So.